Terus ini lalu ini okay. Hello everybody, good morning. Do you hear me?
Good morning, sir. We can hear you.
Good morning. Okay. May I start our course today? Now today is the second week, okay? So I would like to talk about philosophy. What is a philosophy? Okay, because before last week I talked about the importance of the philosophy of computer science. So philosophy of computer science is very important for the student to know about what kind of computer science is. So you can know about that. Now I would like to talk about philosophy. Okay. So I would like to explain about meaning of philosophy and also its development. Okay. So I think human inhabit this world. So you and me live in the world, and I think certainly want to understand, cultivate, and appreciate what is inhabited and it's contained with several approaches. So humans, you and me and another, want to know about word. Okay. I use several approaches. That is philosophy. So you study philosophy about human and the world, and then science, and then also technology, art, and religion. All of that is approaches how to cultivate, to understand, to cultivate, and appreciate where we live in the world. Okay. So philosophy is an attempt to understand. In Indonesia we call it memahami or mengerti the word in terms of its meaning and values. What does it mean by that? And the value that we are going to use for our life. Okay. It is philosophy that seeks to answer questions about the origin and nature of the universe in which humans live and what is the purpose of their life. I think it's very important to you put that. Okay. From the description presented by specific field of study, philosophy tries to question the nature, values, and possibilities so that you will get understanding and wisdom. So you stay in the world here, and then you have to understand to use this, okay? And what is purpose of your life, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? Then this philosophy is comprehensive approaches to live and the world that are closely related to the main areas of human experience. Okay. It is from here that philosophers try to find an integrated view of life, find its meaning, and try to provide a recent conception of the universe and human place in it. Okay. In religion, in philosophy, in science, and so on and so on. Actually, you want to stay in this word because you know if you read Bible or whatever I said, yeah, God gave us the way to think and how to use the word for we live here. Okay, you can make a relation between in religion and science and so on. Okay. So to understand philosophy is to look at it in terms of etymology. So what philosophy mean in the word? It comes from the word from Greek or maybe from Roma or maybe from Arab or maybe from we know that philosophy comes that word. So what is the meaning of that word? Okay, and then view as an attitude, as a method, as a group of problems, as a group of theories or system of thought, as a logical analysis of language and explanation of the meaning of the term, as in an effort to get a holistic view. Okay, so I would like to talk about what is it? What is philosophy in terms of etymology? What is philosophy if we view as an attitude, as a method, and so on and so on and so on? Okay. Now we start the verse. In terms of etymology, the term philosophy in Indonesian has the equivalent of the word, I think, the term filsafat in Indonesia. Okay, so I translate filsafat and philosophy. Actually, the term filsafat in Indonesian has the equivalent of the word falsafah in Arab. Equivalent to philosophy in English. Okay, equivalent to philosophia in Latin. Philosophy in German, Dutch, and French. All of them, filsafat, falsafa, philosophy, philosophia, philosophy, derive from the Greek philosophia. Okay? In Greek, the word philein means to love, while philos means friend. Okay, so philosophia may be love to friend or friend of love, something like that. Furthermore, sophos means wise as an adjective. Sophia means wisdom as a noun. So this is because we try to find out the meaning of philosophy in terms of etymology. Okay. Because in Greek term there are philein, philos, sophos, and sophia. So if we combine of them, then we have philein plus sophos. So philosophia come from philosophy, philein, sophos, combined between philosophy, philein, and sophos. And the second, philein and sophia. And the third, philos and sophos, and fourth, philos and sophia. All of that, they have their own meaning. For instance, philein and sophos will mean to love to things that are wise. Philein and sophia will mean to love wisdom. Philosophos will mean a friend of things wise. Philos and Sophia will mean friend of wisdom. Okay. So historically, Pythagoras was the first to use the term philosophia, and he claimed to be a lover of wisdom. So Pythagoras, they have their own meaning of philosophia as a lover of wisdom. So he loved wisdom. Okay. Now, for a combination, then we have I think 1 and 3 almost the same. Okay, 1 and 3 almost the same. 2 and 4 almost the same. Okay. The second will mean to love wisdom. The fourth will mean friend of wisdom. So it's almost the same, identical. And then the first, philain suppose, mean to love to things that are wise. And the third, philos and suppose, will mean a friend of things wise. Almost identical. Okay? So I try to use two of them. Okay. Of them. Okay. So I think sometime that the wise Pythagoras say that lover of wisdom. They use the second and the fourth. To love wisdom, friend of wisdom. So Pythagoras say that philosophia is lover of wisdom. So to love the wisdom of friend of wisdom. Okay. So Pythagoras use the second or the fourth. So I think that the two of them is very important for us about the philosophia. Okay. Now, meaning of philosophy. Philosophy is seen as an attitude. Philosophy is an attitude toward life and the universe. Okay. In dealing with a very difficult problem, it requires a very broad, calm, and in-depth review. Then we will arrive at a philosophical answer. If you have the questions, actually in philosophy term, not non-philosophy term, you have to be a very, very calm and broad and in-depth review. After that, then you will get an answer in philosophical. Okay? So please keep your mind calmly and then deeply to think about that. Then you will arrive at an answer as a philosophical answer. Okay? So then philosophy is seen as a method. Okay, before the attitude, then the second method. This means that the philosophy of a way of thinking is reflective, deep, very deep. Okay? An inquiry that uses reason, you use reason, use your logic, something like that. Think carefully and thorough. See in the logic of informatics. If you study about logic of informatics, then you will get thing very, very reasonable. The method of thinking is inclusive, covering broadly, and synoptic, in outline. So this is philosophy is seen as a method. You have to think reflectively, very deeply, and you have to use reason. That the way you must study about logic informatic, logic of informatic. Okay, you have to study that. Okay. The method of thinking is covering broadly. Okay, so covering all of things that you have studied, and synoptic. Okay, and then philosophy is seen as a group of problem. Group of problem, as I mentioned before, they are problem or questions with a philosophical and non-philosophical. So you have to know what is a philosophical question and what is non-philosophical question. Note that philosophical questions are different from non-philosophical questions. Okay. For example, what is the average achievement index for graduate student in 2018? It's very easy. Maybe a 2.9 or maybe 3.2 and so on and so on. So you can answer it exactly and very easily. Where did you born? It's very easy. Oh yes, I lived in Libing Sari or in Scape or in Bausasran and so on and so on. So it's very easy to answer. What was your grade point index in the last semester? I don't know. I think you know about that, because my grade point index is about maybe 3.75, very excellent. Okay. Such questions are easy to answer because they are fact and so are not philosophical questions. Okay. Furthermore, philosophical question, for example, what is truth? It's very difficult to answer. What is truth? Oh, very, very difficult. And then, what is the difference between right and wrong? You will answer something, then you will get another question from your answer. Okay, so the question is not finished. Okay, always ask. Why are humans in the world? Why? According to the Bible say, yes, because Nabi Adam, the first human, eat something, fruit is very, I don't know, maybe a special fruit. Okay? So you have to answer for that. What is the meaning of human life in the world? Why we live here? Not in near God. Why you live here? Is there any reason? If you have an answer, then you will get another question. In answering, the philosophers will use logical and rational arguments. Okay, so what is argument? Maybe next time we will tell you about those argument in logic informatics. Okay. So philosophy is seen as a group of theories or system of thought. The history of philosophy is marked by the emergence of theories or system of thought that lie in the name of Greek philosophers such as Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Aquinas, and so on and so on and so on. Because that philosophers try to ask or to think about what happened we live here, what is the meaning of the universe, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, then they try to make a theory. They try to make a system of thought because that philosophers may be very, very excellent. Okay. And then philosophy is seen as a logical analysis of language and an explanation of the meaning of terms. To explain the meaning of a term and of language, many philosophers use analysis method. So this is the method how to explain the meaning of a term and of language. Philosophers use analysis method. Therefore, some philosophers state that the analysis of the meaning of language is the main task of philosophy. So this is the main task of philosophy is to analyze of the meaning of language. Remember this main task. And the task of concept analysis and the task of concept analysis as the only function of philosophy. So the philosophy has the function that is the task of concept analysis. So you have to think about this. So I think that is why philosophy is very, very difficult, and you have to think it carefully, deeply, calmly, because it is not the question as in non-philosophical question. Okay, so you have to think it very calmly, deeply, and carefully. Because you know here that the analysis of the meaning of language is the main task of philosophy. And the task of concept analysis has the only function of the philosophy. Okay? And then philosophy is seen as a logical analysis of language and explanation of the meaning of the term. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. Continue. For example, if the word exist or being is analyzed in, it can actually contain nuances of meaning. Nuances of meaning. If you have the word exist or being, ada in Indonesia, ada. We live here, ada. Is analyzed, it can actually contain nuances of meaning. Is the exist or being ada of God the same as the exist or being of man? What do you think about that? God is also exists. human or man is also exists. Is it different or not different? Okay. If it is said that the chair exists, is it the same as the exist or being or presence of human? Okay, so why you have chair? Why you live here? Okay, we ada, man ada, chair ada, God ada. Is it the same? All of it the same? Because you know the chair in this case ada because I make it for me to sit. But I or you ada in the word. Who make it? Is it your parent or what? God exists. Okay, so you have to think with it. Okay, because you know chair is exists. You can fit it. You can make it. But if human ada and then you fit it, then you have to go to jail. Okay, it's different. Quite different. But you never think about that. In philosophy, you have to think about that. Okay? Example, in chemistry, the basic concept is substance. Set. Okay? Geometry is related to the basic concept of space. Mechanics with the basic concept of motion, and so on and so on. Okay? So it's very, very difficult to understand if you think very easily. You have to think calmly, deeply, and carefully. Okay? Then philosophy is seen as an attempt to obtain all-round view. So special scientists only talk about the basic concept itself, so long as it is concerned with specific goals. Okay? If you have to be a chemistry scientist, then you have to talk about the substance. You never talk about computer. You never talk about, okay? So special scientists, chemists, mathematics, and so on, only talk about the basic concept itself, so long as it is concerned with specific goals. Okay? Please remember this word. On the other hand, a philosopher analyzes this basic concept in relation to the basic concept that apply in other specialized field of science. Okay. So in philosophy, or philosopher analyze this basic concept in relation to the basic concept that apply to other specialist field of science. Okay, so you have to think about things thoroughly. Okay. Philosophy tries to combine the conclusion of various sciences and human experiences into a consistent worldview. Speculative philosophers claim that the goal of philosophy is to take over the result of human experience in the field of religion, ethics, and science. Then the results, they will be thoroughly contemplated. Okay, so if you try to be a philosopher, is very difficult. That's why nobody want to go to faculty of philosophy, because very difficult to think and so on and so on. Okay. Okay, now I would like to talk about the matter object and formal object of philosophy. What is the material object and what is the formal object of philosophy? Okay, I think you understand how to think philosophy, how to method in philosophy, and so on and so on. It's very, very difficult. Okay. Collection of knowledge can be called science. A collection of knowledge can be called science if so. Not knowledge is science. Okay, not knowledge is a science. Okay, if it meets the condition, namely material object and formal object. And then how to prove that? Then you will go to the method of scientific method. Okay. What is a material object? A material object is something that is the target of thought. In Dutch language, Gegenstand. I don't know, because I don't know in Dutch language. Something that is investigated or something that is learned. Okay, it includes both the concrete and the abstract. It's part of ontology. It's part of ontology because you talk about something. Okay, so this is the object of material objects. Okay. Then what the formal object? A formal object is a way of looking, a way of observing what a researcher does to its material object and the principle of its uses. So I think it is part of epistemology. So that's why I ask you to read about ontology and epistemology, because ontology actually that ontology is talking about the object you are talking about, and epistemology actually that the method how to do with that object. You have to prove if you have to make it valid or not valid, and so on and so on. Okay, so I ask you to read about ontology and epistemology. Okay, maybe next courses, maybe next course. Corresponding to the condition of material and object and formal object is obtained that scientists who are skilled in certain disciplines direct their attention to one aspect of their material objects. From this emerges scientific authority and autonomy leading to the emergence of free speech. So in here we call it bebas mimbar. Okay, because you are talking about the matter object that you want to know deeply. Okay, and then you use your method, your own method, especially for that object. Okay, so I think you will understand about that. Okay, so talk about the matter object, talk about the form object, mean that what I'm talking about and how to talk about that object. Okay. Common problem found in special sciences include special sciences, chemistry, mathematics, physics, and so on and so on, biology, and so on and so on. Okay. To what extent are the boundaries or scope under the authority of each of the special sciences? So I also will talk about the scope of the computer science, maybe next course. I don't know, in the third or in the fourth and the fifth, I would like to talk about the scope of computer science. Where is the place of special sciences in the reality that surrounds them? Okay. To what extent have the method used by these sciences been valid? So every special sciences, they have their own method to prove the validity of that problem. For example, the method used in social sciences are different from those used in natural science. Okay, so the method is different. Okay, so social sciences and exact sciences, according to me, is very identical, the same. Okay. That's the problem of causality that applies in natural science, for example. That's the problem of causality that applies in natural science also applies to the social science. What do you think with that? Does the problem of causality that applies in natural science also applies to the social sciences? For example, if every metal expands when heated, in social sciences, maybe if you make a provocation, then everybody will go to demonstrate or something like that. Maybe. Okay. So, for example, if every metal expands when heated in social sciences, maybe if you make a ask somebody to do something, then I don't know. You can find it in this situation or in your experience. Okay. Now, what is the relation between science and philosophy? Okay, this one is matter object and formal object of philosophy. Okay. Now, what is the relation between science and philosophy? In the beginning, the first science to emerge was philosophy, and the special sciences were part of philosophy. Okay. In the beginning, the first science to emerge was philosophy. And the special sciences were part of philosophy. Okay? Since the material object of philosophy is very general, namely the whole reality, in the case of sciences requiring a special material object. Okay? So that's why special sciences move out from the philosophy, because the material object of philosophy is very general. Okay, but special sciences, the material object are special. Okay, for instance, chemistry, substances, mechanics, movement, and so on, and so on, and so on. Okay, here. Since the material object of philosophy is very general, namely the whole reality, in the case of the sciences requiring a special material object, this results in the separation of science from philosophy. So special sciences, because they have their own material object and they have their own method, because ontological and epistemological quite different. Okay, ontological is matter object, and then epistemology the method. So because they have their own material object and also their method, then a special sciences try to move out from the philosophy. Okay, yeah. In the case of the sciences requiring a special matter object, this results in the separation of science from philosophy. Okay, I think you understand about that. Okay, you must understand about that. Why special sciences move out from the philosophy? Because before, philosophy is also cover all the science, all the sciences. Okay, so why he spirit from the philosophy? Because here, ontologically and epistemology is quite different. Okay, matter object and formal object is quite different. So that's why special sciences spirit from the philosophy. Okay. Thus, there is no field of knowledge which become the link between these various sciences. So special sciences have their own way. They have their own way, they have their own matter object, they have their own form object. So according to this, there is no field of knowledge which become the link between these spirit sciences. So that's why philosophy try to make link of that. Okay. So there is no field of knowledge which become the language. It is in the sense that philosophy is tasked with overcoming specialization and formulating a view of life based on a broad human experience. Okay, therefore, philosophy is a part of the natural educational process of thinking creature. Please see the book Filsafat Ilmu, sebuah pengantar populer by Yuyun S. Surya Sumantri, I think from UI mungkin, in Jakarta. Please read it, then you will get this. Therefore, philosophy is a part of the natural educational process for thinking creature. Okay, please remember this word. Therefore, philosophy is a part of natural educational process of thinking creatures, according to Yuyun. But if you read Sandang in the first course, I say that Sandang say that it is important to study for computer scientists about philosophy of computer science, because here it's the same. Philosophy is part of the natural educational process of thinking creature, because you know that human always think. So philosophy is very important to people who are always think. Okay, so you will have link between the idea of Yuyun and Sandang. Okay. Philosophy arises because of human admiration and astonishment at the existence of natural phenomena. So that it is said that philosophy is closely related to human life and the universe. So this is the reason why philosophy is closely related to human life and the universe. Because philosophy arises because of human admiration and astonishment at the existence of natural phenomena. Okay. However, philosophical problems are very different from non-philosophical problems. I already talked about this. The characteristic of philosophical problems are very general in nature. Very general in nature. This means that philosophical questions are not concerned with specific objects. For example, asking about how much is the salary, the amount of asset or wealth, and so on. But the question, what is salary? What is the asset? Okay, and so on, asking general objects. Okay. If you ask how much do you have the salary, yeah, maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But what is salary? Oh, salary is money, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What is work? Work is blah, 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 blah. What is blah? And so, so never stop asking about that. Okay? Does not concern fact. So philosophical problem does not concern facts. This means that philosophical questions are speculative. Okay? Remember, there is speculative philosophy. Okay? Speculative emerges because of thoughts about mean or intent. Maksud, in Indonesia we call it maksud. Goal and force or energy that is transcendent the boundaries of scientific field of knowledge. Okay. Does not concern facts. For example, rain event, scientists can think about the occurrence and provide a description of the rain event. Everything scientists think exists in the empirical method or can be experienced, but a scientist do not think about the purpose and the goal or objective of the rain event in its force or intensity. Okay. Remember the difference about rain. Okay. About rain, about event of rain. Okay, because mostly scientists do not think about the purpose of that rain and also the goal of that rain. Why? It is rain. Why? What is the purpose of that? Okay, but we know that. But scientists say, oh yeah, because the sea there's hot, warm, and then make something like was it up or something like that. Then go to the sky, and then it's very cold, and then make a rain, water, and go to the earth. That's all. But what is the purpose of that? Why it started rain? Okay. So I think this is the philosophical problem. So you don't know what is the purpose of that rain. To make something like, was it flooding something in Jakarta? So you have to think about that. Okay? Relating to values, okay, before does not concern fact. The first, very general in nature, okay, the philosophical problem, very general in nature, does not concern fact, relating to values. It means that philosophical issues are related to good judgment of moral, aesthetic, religious, and social values. Value in this sense is an abstract quality that exists in something. Values can be understood and lived. From that reason, values are an abstract quality that can give rise to a feeling of pleasure, satisfaction, and happiness for those who experience and live them. Okay. Philosophers discuss questions about the deep values. This philosophical question related to the nature of values. There's a result of human thought about nature, the position of human in nature, something that human aspire to. All of them imply values. Okay, so this is the relation in a philosophical problem to values. Okay, mean that philosophical issues are related to good judgment of moral, aesthetic, religious, and social values. Okay, so values can be understood and lived. From that reason, values are an abstract quality that can give rise to a feeling of pleasure, satisfaction, and happiness. Okay? And then it is critical. It is critical, meaning that philosophy is a critical analysis of concept and meaning that are usually taken for granted by a science without critical examination. Sometimes they use as axioma. You don't care about that. Yes, it is true. Please take it as for granted. Okay. Every field of human experience, whether related to the field of science or religion, bases its investigation on assumptions that are accepted as starting point for thinking or acting. Axiom, something like that, or postulate, or what is it in mathematics? Okay, you already know about that. Okay, sometimes you use a formula. You don't know about how to get that formula. For instance, you use maybe formula of ABC. X1, 2 equal to MLP plus minus plus or minus square root of B square and so on and so on and so on. So you have to prove that in mathematics. But if you use that, don't care. It's true or not true, but I use it. Okay, so this is that are usually taken for granted by a science without critical examination. So you don't care about formula ABC is true or not true, don't care, but I just use it. Okay? Every field of human experience, whether related to the field of science or religion, bases in investigation on assumptions that are accepted as starting point for thinking or acting. Those assumptions are accepted and applied without being critically examined. Okay? From here, it is the task of philosopher to examine and assess these assumptions, reveal their meaning, and determine the limits of their application. Okay, so please be careful with that. Okay, so sometimes somebody said that science just for science. I don't care if it's used or not can be used. Don't care. But I use this. This is a proof that's true. Yes, that's all. Okay, but no, I use it very, very important for me to prove this situation. Okay, so please remember this. Remember this. For instance, in mathematics, the Dirac function. Oh yes, it can be true, but how to use it, I don't care. In physics, yes, I use it for. Okay, yes, I use it for. Okay. From here, it is the task of the philosopher to examine and assess these assumptions, reveal their meaning, and determine the limit of their application. This is the task of the philosopher. Okay, so philosophy is very, very difficult, and it's very, very important for all scientists. Okay, that's why I said before that philosophy of computer science is very important for computer scientists. According to Yesaya Sandang, according to Rapaport, according to Mati Tedri from Finlandia. Okay? I told it in the first course. Synoptic in characters. So this is the philosophical problem. Synoptic in character, meaning the philosophical problem includes the structure of reality as a whole. Philosophy is a science that makes the arrangement of reality as a whole. Okay, synoptic in character. And also it is implicative, meaning that if a philosophical problem has been answered, then the answer will generate new interconnected problem. So never ending. Okay, never end. You have to go to another question. Okay, you will get another interconnected problem, and so on, so on, so on. So never stop. The answer put forward have further implication for human interests. Okay, so never stop. It is implicative, meaning that if a philosophical problem has been answered, then the answer will generate new interconnected problem. So never stop. Okay? This is philosophical problem. And then now I would like to talk about think philosophically. Think philosophically. To do philosophy is to think and not the other way around. If you do philosophy, it means that you have to think. But if you think, it is not always a philosophy. So you do philosophy, then it means that you do think. If you do think, it's not always philosophy, to do philosophy. Okay? Thus, not everyone think it must be philosophical. So, philosophize, then think. If you're talking about philosophy, then you have to think. You have to use your brain to think. Okay? Here, thinking with certain characteristics. Some of characteristics of philosophical thinking are: 1. Thinking radically. Thinking radically. Meaning thinking to its roots. That is, thinking to the essence. Or in Indonesia we call it hakikat. Or to the substance that is thought. Humans who do philosophy with reason try to be able to grasp essential knowledge. That is knowledge that underlies all sensory knowledge. Thinking radically. Okay. Thinking universally. Namely, thinking about things and processes that are general in nature. In this way, universal conclusion will be reached. Philosophy is concerned with the common experience of mankind. That is the general experience of mankind. Induction. Okay? From here to here, from here to here, okay? This is thinking universally. So you have to think universal, not locally, but universal. Okay, used for everybody. Think conceptually. Concepts here are the result of generalization. What is concept? Concepts here are the result of generalization and abstraction of experience about things and individual processes. That is concept. Philosophy does not think about certain people, but think about the human in general. With this characteristic, philosophical thinking goes beyond the limit of daily life experience. Okay, so think conceptually. So 1, think radically. 2, think universally, and think conceptually. Okay, and then 4th, think coherently. Okay, 5th, think systematically. Think in a comprehensive manner. Think freely. Think with responsible thinking. Okay? Think coherently. Coherent means that in accordance with the principle of thinking, logical, reasonable. Okay? Coherent means that it is in accordance with the principle of thinking, does not contain contradiction. Okay? So both coherent and consistency can be interpreted coherently. That is, the conceptual chart that is drawn up does not consist of contradicting opinion in it. Okay, so think coherently. Think systematically. Opinion which constitutes of these philosophies must be connected regularly and contain a specific purpose or for purpose. Okay, specific purpose. This means thinking systematically, because systematically come from a system, which means the roundness of a number of elements that are interconnected according to the arrangement to achieve something or fulfill a certain rule. I think you understand what is the system. Okay? See, so here say that because systematically come from a system, which mean the roundness of number of elements that are interconnected around according to the arrangement to achieve something or fulfill a system rule. Okay, so there are a component, and then they work together to make a special goal. Okay, so please read what is a system. Okay, what is the system? Bicycle, they have was it heel, they have a chain, they have a saddle and so on. So they have their own function to do something to make somebody use it more speed. Okay. Thinking in a comprehensive manner. Thinking in a comprehensive manner. Philosophical thinking is comprehensive. So thinking philosophical tries to explain the universe as a whole. Explain the universe as a whole. So the philosophical system must be comprehensive, that is covered as a whole, and nothing is outside it. Okay? Nothing is outside it. Outside what are you thinking about? Okay? Think freely. To think freely means to be free from social, historical, cultural, or religious prejudices. Freedom of thought is freedom that is disciplined. Thinking and investigating freely does not mean carelessly, at will, anarchy, but on the contrary, thinking and investigating its string, guided thinking, okay, we call it by berpikir terpimpin. Okay, where the bond come from within, from the rule, from the discipline of the mind itself. Remember, pulpit free. Pulpit free mean mimbar harap, mimbar bebas, bebas mimbar. Okay. Think responsible thinking. Thinking philosophy is thinking responsibility. Responsibly. As for the first, accountability is to one's own conscience, and the second is how to form it. Okay, think responsibly thinking. If you say something, you are responsible about what you think. If you get something very, very important for the people, maybe you will get the Nobel Prize. Okay, Nobel. Okay. Okay, I think so. Now I will give you task first, so you can submit it maybe next week, okay, or maybe tomorrow or next tomorrow, or but the last time you submit it in next week. First, mention Auguste Comte's role in the development of science. What is the role of Auguste Comte in the development of science? State what method was proposed by Francis Bacon. Because you know, Auguste Comte, Francis Bacon is very, very important person who make science very, very important for our life. Okay. What is Aristotle's statement about philosophy and how he divided philosophy into how many sciences and mentioned it. Okay, Auguste Comte. If you want to go to the university, then you have to pass in the test about mathematics, physics, and so on and so on. Okay, that's because according to Aristotle's statement, the benchmarks of science are based on two dimensions, mentioned and explained. Benchmark of science. Why you get science? What is the benchmark for that? And there are two, I think, two dimensions. This dimension and this dimension. And then you explain this dimension, blah, 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 blah. This dimension, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And then the fifth, try to name three philosophers who disagree with mythology and what are their opinions. Three philosophers. From this, then we get a rationality device. Okay? The rationality device, because in mythology, you remember everything is in method. For instance, the mountain of Takon Prau, according to the mythos, it comes from blah blah blah. You can see that. Rojonggrang, okay, and then mountain of Tidar. You will have got a mythology about that. But three philosophers, no, you have to use your ratio, your ratio to understand about that. Then emerge the new states. We call it rationality, the first, and then go to the theology, and then another person tried to make a rationality the second. Okay, so please answer this only for question, and please submit by next week. Okay, if you put in, I don't know, maybe through this system, and then my assistant will collect this, and then print it, and then submit to me, and then I will make a grade. Okay, and I think it's very easy for you to, and then for next task, the second task, I will another task, and then the task, another task. From 3 tasks, then you will get the grade. And then mid-examination, you will get, but mostly problem in examination come from this task. Okay, because 5, 5, 5, we have 15 questions, and then I take it 4. That maybe outside of this, maybe, but mostly come from this question. Okay. Okay, it's time already 9 o'clock, so I stop until here. If you are, please wait, because my assistant, I don't know where is it. He went to Okay, any question? I don't know how to make that you are going to ask me about everything. Okay, so next week I would like to talk about what is science. Okay, and then next what is technology. Okay, and this and then in it is in prior it is the S, because in pasta UDS I will get another about philosophy of AI, philosophy of ethics, and then the scope of the computer science and the story of computer science. Computer, for instance, because you know that the history of computer start in 1940. Okay, and so on, so on, so on. Because before they are only the concept, because you know there's no material to set up the computer. Because after Shannon create the vacuum tube, then vacuum tube used for radio, and then mostly and so on, try to use it for computers. So they have HVAC, HSAC, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so from that you will get what is computer science, because computer is blah 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 blah. Okay, so from that then you will get the science, because you know that in 40, 50, you computer are still in laboratory. Okay, in laboratory. Then in 50 to 60, then computer used for social, for everybody use it, or in America. And then in 60, the first scientists in computer science. And then 60 to 70, you know, in 70, 80, and so on and so on and so on. So you will get the computer science, something like this. Okay, thank you very much. Until next week, I would like to talk about what is science. Okay, so what is technology? From that, you will get the idea what is computer science, because we try to use Rappaport idea. Okay. Any question?
Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
Yes, yes, please.
Did you say where should we submit the assignment?
Pardon?
Where should we submit the assignment that you're giving us right now here?
Examination. I don't know. Maybe kapan apa namanya ujiannya itu?
Enggak, saya tanya tugasnya kumpul di mana, Pak? Tugasnya ini, Pak.
Oh, a task. You mean task?
Yeah, I said the task as in the assignment.
Okay. I think examination task. Okay, that's maybe you may ask to my assistant, because you know you collect it. My assistant we collect it from, I don't know, maybe in this system or gimana. Nanti kalau tugas-tugas di semester, oh ya, you enter in semester.
Okay.
In semester.
Thank you,
semester.
sir.
Okay, because I don't know what is semester, because you know my computer does not connect to the system, because I'm already pension, so I don't have.
Yeah, that is okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any question, Nathan? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Till next week. Good morning. Have a nice
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Permisi, Pak.
Ya.
Saya belum ini absensi.
Oh, semua belum ya?
Oh, semua belum ya, Pak? Oh, jadi nggak
Belum
usah.
ya? Nggak usah, nanti tak masukkan manual. Nggak apa-apa.
Oh, baik. Terima kasih, Pak.
Ya, sama-sama.
Kalau full absensi, nanti dengerin saya enggak? Dengerin saya enggak?